Welcome to Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care, where your host, writer, actor and producer Candy Washington helps you live a more joyful life with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. Be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review and join the conversation on Instagram at Candy Washington. Let's go!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care. As always, I am your host, Candy Washington, and I cannot wait to help you lead a more joyful life. So before we get started on today's episode, which is 3 mental self-care habits for increased happiness or just happiness in general, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and also subscribe on YouTube if you're watching over on our YouTube channel, because we will be dropping new videos every Tuesday and Thursday this fall and winter. And I promise you, you are not going to want to miss one. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review because it really helps us out. So with that, let's dive in. So I wanted to talk about 3 mental self-care habits that can really help you to increase your level of happiness and joy, especially during these times. You know, I think having any type of tools in our box that can just help us be a little bit more relieved, a little bit less stressed, a little bit more present, and just a little bit more appreciative just for everything. So I wanted to share with you guys 3 mental self-care habits that I personally use when I feel stressed or anxious or depressed or just not myself. I use these myself in order to take myself out of it, in order to increase my happiness and joy, and to remember the power of who I am. The first is question your thoughts. This is one of the most powerful mental self-care habits that you can have. Remember, it's a skill, it's a habit, so you have to practice it, you have to use it, you have to really put it into your daily mental diet, really make it a lifestyle. And what you really want to do is question your thoughts. So if you find yourself on a mental loop, or if you're just on autopilot and you're just thinking different things throughout the day, like, I never have enough money, I'm so stressed, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, no one ever chooses me, I'm unlovable, this always happens to me, I'm so unlucky. Or even things where you're just like tuned out watching TV and your mind's just on checked out, or you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and you're just checked out and your mind's going on a loop and you're just consuming all this stuff. Take a moment to question what your thoughts are. What am I actually thinking in this moment? And if it's not something that reaffirms your self-love, your self-esteem, your happiness, your laughter, if it's not something that is life-fulfilling, think, why am I thinking this? You know, are you thinking these things just because you're consuming weird content on social media or on TV, or what the situation is? Are you thinking these things because you're fearful? Are you thinking these things because you're not feeling good enough? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling whatever the case may be, right? So think about, what am I thinking and why am I thinking it? And if it's not something, again, that brings you happiness, joy, peace, strength, whatever, you know, the case may be of what you need to get through the day, then think, is it true? Is it true that I'm not good enough? Is it true that, you know, everyone leaves? Is it true that, you know, nothing ever works out for me? Is it true that I'll never get out of this debt? Is it true that I will never find a partner? Is it true that I will da 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 da? You know, is it true that, you know, there's only bad news in the world? You know, is it true? Usually the case is no. But then you want to think, does it have to be true? Do all of the negative thoughts, do all of the autopilot thoughts, do all of the thoughts that are not in alignment with me feeling good about myself and me feeling empowered or me feeling happy in this moment or me feeling just good about myself, do they have to be true? And if they don't have to be true, because they don't have to be true, this is now the most powerful question to ask yourself. Then what do I choose instead? That is how you bring happiness and joy, and most importantly, you take your power back. So if you find yourself on these loops of this negative thoughts, these negative, you know, streams of either whether it's insecurity, not feeling good enough, fear, all of those things, just mentally checked out, you do these things. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking it? Is it true? Does it have to be true? And then most importantly, what do I choose to think instead? What do I choose to believe instead? You know, if in your mind you're thinking I'm not good enough, everybody leaves, I need to change, blah blah blah. But what can I think instead? You know what? I'm open to learning to love myself. I'm open to learning to enjoy this moment. I'm open to learning to being present. I'm open to learning and believing that this doesn't have to be true. You know, I'm open to seeing myself differently. I'm open to seeing the situation through the lens of love. I'm open to shifting my perspective to one of being empowered rather than a victim. You know, I'm open to, you know, turning off Instagram. I'm open to turning off the TV. I'm open to connecting with people in a different way. I'm open to believing different things about myself because that's what I choose instead. Because at the end of the day, you are the thinker of your thoughts. You control your thoughts. That's why if I say, you know, don't think about a yellow balloon, your mind's going to think about a yellow balloon, but then you can change it, right? You are the thinker of your thoughts. You have your thoughts. Your thoughts do not have you. The second mental self-care habit for increased happiness is to take the time to daydream throughout your day. Take the time to really just sit, you know, whether it's for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the case may be, to just daydream, you know, to play in your mind. You know, remember when we were younger and we used to have playtime where we would run around and play and all of that stuff, and nap time where we would just sit down and relax. You know, as adults, we still need playtime and we still need nap time. And sometimes it's not a physical thing, it's a mental thing. You know, take out the time to play mentally. You know, sit back and close your eyes and think, ooh, what would it feel like if I was on the beach right now? Or, you know, if I was, you know, in my dream house right now, or driving my dream car, or if I was, you know, on an amazing vacation, if I was fully loved, if I was whatever, you know, whatever it is. It's not always a house, it's not always a car, it's not always material things. It could be anything in this world, you know. You could dream about being on a date with someone. You could dream about being on a vacation by yourself somewhere, you know, whatever it is, because we all have our own personal dreams. Take the time out of your day to play, but play in your mind, you know? Sit back, you know, turn on some classical music or just some guided, just, you know, nice music or whatever, relaxing, and just let your mind play. You know, if you don't want to sit in the silence of your thoughts, put on some nice music and close your eyes and let your mind drift and wander and daydream and have fun. You know, one thing that I love doing is, you know, I'll be out for a walk or a jog and I will just play in my mind. And sometimes I even talk it out loud. I don't want people to think I'm weird. So I'll pop in my head. I'm getting serious with you guys, getting very transparent. I'll pop in my head buds and I will pretend like I'm talking on the phone, but I'm actually just talking out loud because I think there's so much power in I think there's so much power in your word. And I'll just talk about my ideal day, not the day I'm physically in this world having, but the day that the next level of my life, the next, you know, up level for me, you know, that to me is what I talk about during the day. Like, what does my ideal day look like? You know, what does the next level, you know, of my day look like? And I talk about it as if it's happened, you know, I'm like, oh, like, you know, I got this and this and this happened today and blah, blah, blah. I just daydream, I just talk, and it's so much fun and it's so fulfilling. So allow yourself to daydream, you know, and then we talk about when we're kids and we have nap time, you know, meditate for a little bit or just sit in silence for a little bit or just close your eyes and just relax for a little bit, you know, have your mental nap time. Find some time where your mind is slowed down. Find some time where your thoughts are calmed down, you know, and as your thoughts arise, just say, okay, that's a thought and let it float away. Okay, that's a thought, let it float away. You're not doing what we did in number one. We're not analyzing it. We're not, why am I thinking this? What is it? We're not doing that stuff. That's one thing. Questioning thoughts is one thing. This one is lovely detachment. That's a thought. Okay, let it go and just let your mind rest and sink. Sink into your consciousness. Sink into, you know, that beautiful sort of space in your mind where you're not exactly asleep and you're not exactly awake, and just let yourself coast and let yourself float, you know? So I think that's really important. And throughout your day, take the time to play mentally and take the time to sort of nap and just relax and let your mind just be. The third is practice loving self-talk. So this kind of goes hand in hand with number one, with once you're questioning your thoughts, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking it? Is it true? Does it have to be true? And what do I want to think instead? This is pretty much honing in on that last component. Choosing to talk to yourself in a loving way will automatically increase your happiness and joy. One way to do this is to show appreciation through your loving self-talk. If you find yourself on that spiral, think, thank you that my feet work. Thank you that my legs work. Thank you that my eyes work. Thank you that my voice works. Thank you that I can see today. Thank you, God, that I can touch. Thank you, God, that I can smell. Thank you, God, that I can feel. Thank you, God, that I can hear, the birds chirping. Thank you that the sun is shining. Thank you that I have a roof over my head. Thank you that I have coffee in my mug. So practice loving self-talk through appreciation and gratitude for yourself, for what you already have in this moment. Because sometimes the reason why we feel unfulfilled, or we feel not happy, or we feel not good enough, or we feel depressed or anxious is because we believe that there's some sort of lack, that there's something missing, something that we need that we don't have, But when you start to practice loving self-talk about yourself and about what you have through appreciation and gratitude, you quickly realize, yeah, sure, there are things and experiences that you want, but at the end of the day, at the core, we already are enough and we already have everything. We already enough and we already have everything, and there's so much to appreciate, within this moment. There's so much to appreciate within this moment. And just have loving self-talk for where you are, exactly how you are, and for exactly who you are. And you really want to practice that. I'll give a personal example of this. I had been really wanting to, buy a home, and I was kind of, doing the normal societal pressure thing and being like, I want to own a home. Why am I a homeowner right now? I have an apartment, blah, 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 all of this stuff. And I was so caught up in thinking that wanting to own a home was me being ambitious, when really it was just me being stuck in my ego, being like, well, I should own this type of home, I should own it in this type of neighborhood, I should have this by now, and, am I falling behind, and all of these other things. But that was really just me stuck in my own ego, because ambition without appreciation is ego. I was forgetting to appreciate and have the right perspective of, girl, you're fine. You know what I mean? It's like, hello, we just went through crazy lockdowns. It doesn't matter where you are in life. You could be 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75. Whether or not you own a home is not an indication of your self-worth and who you are as a person and your value and your capability of enjoying your life. And so I had to really check myself on that. And the way that I was able to do that was, next door to me, to the apartment next to me, this family moved in. I mean, a mom and a dad and 2 kids. And they are so happy. I mean, they're in the pool every day. They're flipping it and doing it. They're laughing. They're running around. And they're so happy and so joyful. And I was like, thank you, God, for that little nod, reminding me to check my ego. There's a whole family living next to me. And they are so happy and they're so appreciative, and they're so joyful. What exactly am I complaining about? You know what I mean? Like, what exactly am I complaining about? Because I don't have some societal check? Because I don't have some stamp? You know what I mean? And so I really had to check myself and realize that ambition without appreciation is ego. And I was missing out on my own happiness. I was missing out on appreciating my own life because I was allowing my thoughts of lack, my thoughts of falling behind, my thoughts of needing to prove something to them or to society. And the them and the society aren't even real. They don't even actually exist. It's just some, phantom pressure that we put on ourselves. When the whole time I could have been like, thank you so much for my apartment. Thank you so much for my pool. Thank you for the food on my plate. Thank you for having shelter. Thank you for being able to keep warm. Thank you for this technology. I'm like, you loving self-talk. Candy, you're right where you're supposed to be. You're right on track. You should be so proud of yourself. Look at everything you've accomplished. You are where you are, and that's where you're supposed to be, because that's where you are. So let's get happy here. And yes, we can still want more. We can still have goals. We can still have dreams. But it's to be appreciative for where you are and what you have right now while you eagerly wait for more. And then I'll give you a bonus one. A bonus mental self-care habit is filter out the opinions and judgment of others. You know, kind of what I was talking about before. A very potent mental habit to have is the ability to filter out other people's opinions, comments, posts, shade, low blows, subliminals, whatever, you know. Everyone has an opinion. It doesn't mean that everybody's opinion should have authority in your life. So if you really want to increase your happiness, if you really want to increase your joy, if you really want to increase your mental stability, get really good at filtering out the opinions of other people. You got to get really good at that, where you can hear one thing and it can go in one ear and right out the other, because you know who you are, you know the value that you have, you know the value that you bring, and you stand in that. And you are the authority on you. That's how you keep your inner peace. That's how you remain happy and joyful. Really, really do that mental habit of filtering out the opinions of others. So quickly, just to recap, but before we recap, if you would like to support this channel and support this podcast, be sure to subscribe, rate, review, like, and share with a friend, because sharing is caring. Also, we have a lot of merchandise available. We have t-shirts and sweatshirts and mugs, and I also put together some of my favorite self-care essentials. So just check the show notes or the description box, because we have everything listed below on some fun self-care goodies and self-love goodies and merch. So with that, let's do a quick recap. Number one, question your thoughts. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking it? Is it true? Does it have to be true? And if not, what do I want to think instead? Number two, take the time in your day to mentally play, daydream, have fun, get lost in fun thoughts. Also take the time to mentally nap, whether that is, actually napping or meditating or just quieting your mind or just taking time to just really relax and let your mind be at peace. The third is practicing loving self-talk through appreciation and gratitude that will quickly change your perspective and empower you to know that nothing is lacking. You are perfect as is, and where you are is completely fine. And you're not behind, you're not lacking, you're fine. Everything's fine. You're good. You're good. And then the last is, really practicing filtering out the opinions and judgments of others. Let it go in one ear and out the other. Don't internalize it. Don't think that somebody else knows the truth of you. You know the truth of you. So there you have it. Those are some mental self-care habits for increased happiness. Again, as always, I'm Candy Washington, and I am just so appreciative to help you lead a more joyful life. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share it with a friend, and pick up some goodies. Everything is linked below. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.
Welcome to Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self-care, where your host, writer, actor, and producer Candy Washington helps you live a more joyful life with a cheeky dash of pop culture news. Be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and join the conversation on Instagram @Candy Washington. Let's go!